Hey everyone, this is Oily. Welcome. We're so glad to have you. One of our panelists gave me an idea to do preppers, the topic for tonight, which is prepping for job loss. So we're going to be discussing that. And we have a wonderful special guest on here, Finger Lakes Prepper. He's always welcome to join us anytime he'd like. So glad to have you, Finger Lakes. And he has live chats on Friday nights about 8:30 Eastern over on his channel. So go check it out. It's also sort of prepper oriented. So you'll have to go check it out. And we have Mouse Toes and Squib Load, and Hawaii Volcano Squad is fixing himself something to drink. So welcome Southern Arc Homestead, welcome Rain Country, BC, Rebuild, Repair, Repurpose, and let's see who else we got out there. We've got Mouse Toes, we got IOVKI. I know I probably pronounced that wrong, but it's a mine. We Tree Bonsai,
Tree Bonsai.
Watterson 69, Hallie 126 is a newbie here. Welcome. We love having you here. Thanks for coming. I think that's it so far.
Say that again. IOVK.
IOVKI.
What?
Instead of Eye of the Tiger, it's IOVKI. Just call her Kai. Him, Kai, whatever.
Okay.
I pronounced it perfect. IOVKI. Oh my gosh. That was a fluke.
Well, we do hidden numitith right every time. Why are you surprised?
No, I was having trouble pronouncing this. IOVKI.
Yep.
How come? What is wrong with me?
Jared Walsh is out there. Welcome, Jared. Good to see you again this week. So,
hey, Jared.
So our topic on the prepping for job loss, I think this is something we've touched on in the past, just common things that all preppers should start prepping for first rather than into the world scenarios, because it's kind of a hard thing to go through. Hey, Keith Gregory, if you're having to go through it, and it doesn't. And job loss, sometimes you can see it coming because it's things like my husband's company is being bought out by another company. Potential layoffs are there. So hopefully not. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But something to be prepared for in the event of sudden injury, layoffs, firings. Sickness, a major illness that rears its ugly head all of a sudden. These are all things that can prevent you from being able to work and bring income in. So we're just going to bounce off the top of each other's heads what we think would be good for prepping to help in the event that, ahead of time in case something happens. But then also, like a couple of things, if it happens suddenly to you, some things that you can do to help yourself get out of that situation as quickly as possible. And so that's kind of where we're at.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I've got something that probably a lot may not have thought about if you are currently employed. Typically, organizations at this time of the year start to do their benefits. So I think Oily brought up a really good point. You might want to put a little bit of extra into your benefits packages to kind of cover your family for if something terrible should happen to you. I did this year. I usually was pretty cheap on that because there were other things that were there. But I'm thinking now, if something happens to me, I want to make sure that my kids have some financial support and that sort of thing. So it might be time to kind of revisit all that and wills and that sort of thing too. It's kind of a sore subject, but or a scary subject. But there's that, and I put in. Usually, I typically cap like 1 year's salary. This year, I put in for like 3 years, just so they would have something if something should happen to me. But
yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people consider that as part of prepping. I do.
Oh, yes.
But
yes, Absolutely. Just health insurance, life insurance, stocking away some extra benefits. All of those things are things that I consider part of preparedness. I mean, it's common sense things that can help you and your family in the event that either you're injured or, heaven forbid, that you pass away. You know, my husband's the only one bringing in income in this household. What am I gonna do? So we have life insurance. We have a couple of different policies. I'd rather have him than have that money, but if something does happen to him, I want to be able to have a way to kind of get on my feet and figure out what I'm going to do in the job market again, you know?
Yeah.
Be able to take
Now,
care of
with the life insurance through work, sometimes you can add your dependents, and if it's under a certain dollar amount, they just want their name and social security number, and if it's over a certain dollar amount, they may require a medical exam. They'll typically pay for something like that. In my experience, I've had blood drawn, or you know, I had to go just get a physical or something, and work is paid for that, for the to add the dependent to the policy, not as a benefactor, but say they give you 1 year, 2 year, 3 years of your base salary as your life insurance policy with work. They may say, and for this much you can add your wife, you know, with $50,000 on her, and for this much you can add your kids. And
we do have one like that for me as well, which is good. And then, you know, hey, I'm on it, by the way. Welcome, glad you're here again. Yeah, we have one for Plus. My husband takes advantage of any free policies out there. Like he's on a volunteer fire department, so he has a policy through them as well. It isn't a whole lot, but it's an extra $2,500 or something like that. And every little bit's going to help to be able to put back.
And sometimes they've got very affordable ones for your kids. It's not a lot of money, but you need to think about what a casket, a funeral home, and a plot are going to cost. And if you can get a small policy for that would cover that, because how many of us, we all want to outlive our kids, but if something were to happen, how many of us have $25,000 in cash laying around? I don't. So funeral homes are not cheap. Caskets are not cheap. Burial plots are not cheap.
It'll cost more money if your kids show up and they're just completely devastated, and and they'll just wind up paying full price on everything. And
for you, I was talking about, in addition to yourself or your wife, you can also get insurance on your children. You just made, with the kids, you're not looking to cash in and support somebody. You're just looking to cover funeral costs.
Exactly. And also, you know, that
this is an appropriate post-Halloween chat. What do we do with the dead bodies?
Gerber Life has a policy that you can get for children, and it's very inexpensive per month, and it's basically like a savings plan. You know, you don't expect your child to pass and stuff, but what happens is, you know, if they don't pass after they get so old, they can cash in that full policy. So they can use that for a vehicle if they need to. They can use that for college. They can use that for down payments on things or books or whatever it is that they're needing at the time. So that's something to think about, and I'm sure there are other policies out there like that, but that's just one. Gerber Life is one that I know about. Hey, Sam. Hey,
did you say hi to Penn?
Woodsman, that's was it. Hey, Penn Woodsman, good to have you.
With the way that the risk landscape is starting to shape up in the U.S., I would say that if you're going to be doing any additional insurance, I would get it now and lock your rates in, because as we start to see a lot of these shootings and whatnot happen in the U.S., those insurance prices for that kind of accidental death and disability are going to go through the roof, because it's probably not something that anybody's thought about. Everybody's still a little bit in shock and awe. You know, we have Las Vegas, we had the Walmart shooting, I think it was last night. You know, Christmas is coming up, and we all know how crazy the malls get. So, you know, the risk analysis is starting to shape up like, hey, you need to be a lot more careful now. So, you know, what Squib was saying about the children insurance is tough of a thing to think about. He's absolutely correct. and our kids are going to be out there trying to live their lives, and something, if something bad happens, at least you're financially covered. As distressing as that would be to have that happen.
It is tough to think about, but it's just being practical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome, Doom Chaser. Glad to have you here, Doom Chaser 1. I think that's a new one here. So glad to have you. Yeah, so basically, besides your policies, you need to start stocking back some money, and this is something we've got to work on in our household as well. Stocking back some money, the recommendation from several experts that I've seen over the years is at least 3 months you through a harsh time. So that's 3 months for every expense that you have monthly. That's your utilities, that's your payments for vehicles, for house payment or rent, for fuel, for groceries, meds, personal care items like toothpaste, soap, etc. Now, some of that stuff you can go ahead and pick up if it's on sale, like your personal care items or groceries when they're on sale, things that you use. Don't buy needless stuff that you don't use and it's just going to sit there and expire. And once you have that 3 months worth of supply up, or even start with a month, it up. If you can get up to a month, that's fine. Even if you just pick, hey, Oklahoma Prepper, what are you doing?
He's
Why aren't you
losing
in
the
here with us?
external. He's loose out there.
He might wreak some havoc out there. I don't know. We'll see.
We're in
Okay.
trouble now.
Juice him with my wrench. I'm going to have to juice him.
So anyway, so you want your total expenses for everything, and try to cut back up on some of your external non-necessities, like the $6 mocha chocolate express.
It's just what Rain said in the external. It's 3 words: save, save, save. Take 1 month for grins and save every receipt. I mean, I've had girlfriends pull into a McDonald's drive-through and whip out a debit card for $1.48, ice cream cone. Save all of those and add that up at the end of a month and look at what you're doing at Starbucks in the morning. Hell will freeze over before I pay $5.50 for a cup of coffee or $8.50. When you swing into Burger King, O'Charlie's on a Friday night out to eat. But the way to prepare for job loss
Hell will swing over before I go to a Burger King and think my cardiologist will kill me, and so will everybody in my family.
If the burger doesn't, huh?
Yeah, they had this one called a Farmhouse, and it looked like a cardiac heart attack. Just looking at it, it had everything you're not supposed to have on it.
Yeah. But yes, like Mal said, write down all those extra expenses. You would be shocked at how much you can spend. Just $5 a day is $30 in a 5-day, it's $25 in a work week if you work only 5 days. Now, just think if you do that coffee in the morning and then you eat out at lunch and then you're too tired to cook supper, so you pick up supper several times in that week. It adds up so fast. And then just what we spend on entertainment. Do you really have to have the extra movie channels? Go out and eat several times a week? Do you really, there are things, yes, you need to still keep the intimacy in your relationships and things like that, go on dates with your spouse. Do you have to spend a crap ton of money doing it? Just going out and going fishing or hanging out, at the lake, or just going sightseeing would be something fun. I like just doing stuff like that. I don't have to go out and spend a ton of money. Movies, things like that, it gets expensive fast. So
you have to lower your lifestyle, your style of living while you have a job. If you have 2 car notes, you got a husband and wife working, you got a mortgage, you've got 2 kids with cell phones, you got to take a step back and reevaluate. And right now, real estate markets are good everywhere. You can lower those things now so that you can save. We go through it every time we have a hurricane. It's why I store, dehydrate, and can food, and we buy from the sales flyers. Start shrinking your lifestyle now so that if it happens, you can do it. You got to start out with 1 month's savings, then you got to build up to 2. Something that we did is we lived on 70% of the income and saved the other 30. If you can't do that, do 80% of your income, save the other 20. You can invest 10% of that 20 you're saving. You can spend part of that 10 on a dehydrator, canning supplies, a generator, things that you know you'll need, but you can cut your lifestyle down in a way and really relieve yourself a lot of stress. And we were talking before this, stop getting your hair colored, getting your nails done, all the little luxury items, they add up so much. I used to pay $175 a month to color my hair. It was ridiculous, but there's a lot of hair, you know? Go ahead, Volcano.
Wanted to say that saving can be fun too. People think saving is boring, but make sure they're real and legit. But if you want to buy Silver Eagles, that's saving. If you want to get into cryptocurrencies, that's another way to save, and it's fun. I mean, Bitcoin hit $7,300 this morning, and when I first got into it, it was $1,400. So, but buying silver, buying some gold, if you can buy and save at the same time if you have the money for it. But I had a big issue when I stopped making $15,000 a week. I had to stop living like I was making $15,000 a week anymore, because I wasn't. But I mean, I had bills and stuff, but it was those checks felt good when they used to come in, but those days are long gone. So unless there's some crypto moonshot, then that lifestyle of the rich and famous is like long gone.
I think management of your logistics stockpile is probably a key way to kind of hedge a storm if you should find yourself out of work or whatnot. And I think a lot of people run to that, and I would say don't. I would say really be very frugal in how much you use, just to get you through that initial kind of period of time where you're faced with a firing, a layoff, or whatever, to get your head on straight. Because if you continue to carry on the way that you had been before, you're going to consume those supplies at a rapid rate without the ability to replenish them. So things like fuel that is stored up, you don't want to use that all up, because if you need to get to a job interview or you need to go a little bit further, it's better to have that on hand to go and do those sorts of things than it is to kind of be sitting there wondering how you're going to put gas in the tank in order to go to a job interview or something along those lines. So those are just some other things as people were talking I was thinking about as well.
Yeah. And when you're stocking up on your stuff, guys, look for those sales on things that you use. And if you find a really good sale, buy extra, even 5 extra this or whatever it is that you're getting, even if it's fresh fruits and vegetables, if you can freeze them or can them right away, you know, that's great to do as well. And remember, is the first that you need to pull out to use. Try to rotate your stuff, and when you do use something out of your 1 month, 2 month, 3 month stash that your goal is for, then you need to make sure and replace it again. Go ahead and put it on your grocery list so you can pick it up for next time, so you always have that buffer there. So
you can always have a garage sale too if you need to raise funds. I mean, yes, most people who haven't
life and get rid of some stuff. That's what my husband wants me to do right now, I think.
Yep, it's amazing how much stuff you can accumulate over the years.
He says that once he started balding, he started investing in his nose hair and ear hair by getting extensions. So that's interesting. So he could those extensions on his nose and ear hair and save a little bit of money anyway.
You need to have cash, you know, something in cash. You could invest your other part in gold or silver, but something you actually have your hands on. you know, and it's actually fun to save when you're working a plan together, if you're a couple or not. When you look at, and like Rain said, even though you've already got a savings plan, you can always save more and find ways to do it.
Yeah, there's no such thing as change in my home. If you get coins, whether it's pennies, nickels, quarters, dimes, whatever, they go into change buckets. We don't ever carry change in our pockets.
That's us.
And I tell you what, I bet you there's a few $100s worth of change in these buckets. There's one by the laundry. So if you don't check your pockets, that all goes to the laundry guy. So there's a milk jug in there that's half full of stuff. And then there's two. I got one for each kid to kind of, it's like a Christmas savings type thing. All my change gets evenly divided between those two. And I bet you there's probably a few $100s between the three jugs. They don't ever use it.
Oh, yeah, because, you know, we had kids digging into ours all the time and stuff, sneaking in and getting our change. And once they got out of the house, it started adding up really fast. And we, just in a couple of months, we had a couple $100. So, you know, we put that money back, and so that's there and accessible. But like Mal said, you want some actual cash on hand to have for, you know, if you do need to go pay your bills or whatever, or for added groceries or meds or things like that. But also another thing you can do, you can go ahead and develop an envelope system. This is one easy system that I've seen done. You know, if you have, when you get paid, you have an envelope for utilities, an envelope for, you know, for each utility, an envelope for where you pay yourself, your savings, an envelope for whatever, and then you just put those up and add to those every month, you know, and you have a certain percentage that's going to go out of your check for paying yourself, and of course if you tithe or and things like that, you know, for that as well. But that way you can actually see where your money's going, and that's recommended a lot of times.
I thought I was the only one with the envelope system.
I love it.
I don't use it, but because most of my stuff is paid online, but I am going to start implementing for the savings. I'm going to start doing that. And if you have something specific, once you get your buffer in place and your money in place, then if you're wanting something specific, instead of going out and borrowing money for it, try to develop the envelope system and save for it and go out and pay cash. I know brainer for most of you, but some people, they'll just loan after loan after loan. And then that's another tip. Get yourself out of debt. Get yourself out of debt. Try not to use those credit cards, things like that. We don't have a credit card. We have a debit card, but we don't have a credit card. And, you know, I'm so happy. There's times when I would have loved to have had it, because there are some times when we might have needed it, but that's where putting some money back as a buffer could help as well, if a hot water tank went out or something like that, you know. But for the most part, we don't miss not having one. So
here's an idea for a credit card. This is one thing that I do, and I find it is really, it builds peace of mind, plus it helps keep your credit alive too. A prepaid card through your bank. So depending on how much you've saved up, you can put that on that card. And the way that it works, at least the way it works at my bank, is if I decide that I need the cash, I close the account and they send me, as long as the account is paid up, they send me back the value of the card in cash. So that's a nice way to have a savings account, and you can use it, but you always have to pay it back. If you run into hard times and you need to liquidate and get some cash back quickly, you can close that down and they'll put that money right in your account. So that's an idea. And the credit card actually keeps your debt-free lifestyle credit good. That was a big thing. I subscribe to the Dave Ramsey type of debt-free living. And one of the things that I found is that I swore up and down I'd never have a credit card. I thought they were evil. And try getting a loan after being debt-free for a few years, and you have like a horrible credit rating. So
Right. They check your credit score sometimes for your car insurance and things
Yep.
like that. So you want to use your credit, but you want to pay it off too. You just kind of have to play a game. I guess it's like buying Bitcoin, right? Hawaii, it's almost like a game. You know, you have to have a certain amount of debt, but you have to pay it off. But you want to have that debt in the system, or you want to have proof that you've been making your payments. Another thing too is if you get a credit card that pays you back, read the terms. Some of that stuff it stays live as long as you keep charging and paying the credit card. Some of it, if you haven't had any activity, those points go away. And in my experience, I would rather use the credit card for cash back, either as a payment towards credit card or cash back in one of the bank accounts if the credit card's tied to a bank. And the reason I say that is I got one of those credit cards where you get points towards staying at a hotel. And when we got to the hotel, they gave us so much trouble about using the points that they were virtually useless. And I couldn't use them for anything else. I got really screwed on there. I know some people get the airline miles and it works out fine. And if it's worked out fine for you and that's what you want.
I have a Discover card, and I just get cash back, and I can use it to pay. I just buy my groceries with it, and I get like $20 cash back every month or something that I use to pay the bill.
Just make sure that it's something that isn't going to expire. If you want to bank them and save them for Christmas, or you want to bank them and save them for a rainy day, that's great. But if you haven't been using a credit card and then one day your balance is zero, and you go, "What the heck happened?" These financial institutions are not always on the up and up. So just make sure you know, and if they change the terms, they're supposed to send you an email. I get these emails from time to time, and some minor term will change. It'll be like, "We've raised our late fee." You know, I'm like, I'm never late, so it doesn't. But still, you should take the time to read them just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hallie, I don't know if it's Hallie or Haley 126. I'm not sure which it is. Let me know if it's Hallie, put number 1, or Haley, number 2, in the comment section. But she has a couple of good points. That first of all, make your own stuff. It's much cheaper, like laundry soap and stuff, and it's, you know, you don't have to have all the toxic chemicals in there that you get when you buy stuff at the store. And you can use things like essential oils in there for helping to kill bacteria and things like that, or to make things smell good without issues. Also, those laundry, something that'll save some money if you do laundry or fabric sheet, is to buy those wool balls that go in the dryer. They fluff and they cut down on static, so those are great. I've got to pick me up some more of those to them out, but that really cuts down on a lot of that. So great ideas, and I know I've missed a lot of good ideas out there. I'm just trying to catch up. Oh, and Hallie said that her dad's always said that to only have appliances that doesn't have any smart stuff in them, because that's just something else that can break down. So it's getting harder and harder to find those that are that basic anymore. Because trust me, a washer and dryer, for instance, man, oh man. That's
the parts on the dumb dryer that you buy today is probably interchangeable with the dumb dryer you bought 25 years ago. Some of the basic parts underneath the frame, or underneath the really, it's just sheet metal on the outside.
I've never used my dryer since 12 years ago. I moved into this place because we have this thing called the sun, and I just put my clothes outside on a chair after they're done in the washing machine, and then they're dried, in a few hours.
Even though it's 12 years old, I'm fairly certain that you could probably get every component for that dryer, and those parts would be interchangeable with a dryer bought in the 90s and whatnot. But yeah, the new ones they are really nice. But yeah, that is more to break, and that's the same thing with a car. You get a car with all the gizmos, it's more stuff to break. So it's a trade-off.
Yeah, and there's some other things too here. Like keeping your resume current. We kind of need to move on to some other topics. Keeping your resume current. Always keeping your references up to date on, because that changes over the years. Professional contacts for whatever business you're in. Professional contacts are very important. Stay in contact with them. If they need help with something, help them, because they could be helping you find that next job if you need it. So, that's another thing to be thinking about. Yeah, go ahead.
So with that, if you work a job where they give you a company cell phone, it's their phone. You can use it for personal, but it's their phone. If you leave that job, they take that phone back. Now, they may have a policy where they offer to sell it to you. They may have a policy where they let you keep the number, or they may not. And if they don't, you're going to lose everything on that phone, not just all your contacts, but your pictures too. If you can get a phone that has an SD card, I recommend buying your own SD card, putting it in there, and having everything default to the SD card so you can yank it out if you have to.
Yeah.
If you have two phones, if you have a work phone and a personal phone, if there are contacts on that work phone, say there are people that you deal with, outside contractors for different jobs that you deal with, that you have a relationship with because you've known them for years and you trust them, maybe put some of those numbers on your personal phone, because you may be able to contact them about work. They may, say, I've known you for years. You're a real hard worker. I would love for you to come join my team. But if it's on that work phone, you just lost it. So you could lose a lot of things.
Another thing you have to consider when you're leaving, like if you work for a corporation and you're leaving, you're probably going to have to do an exit interview, and you're going to want to pretty much keep your mouth shut because the more you say, the worse it'll be for you. Most corporations have an exit interview that is compulsory. So basically, they fire you, and then they get to basically interrogate you. And nothing good is going to come from that interrogation. So don't volunteer any information at all.
Yeah, and as I advocate,
be nice, be friendly, but get it over with and get out of there.
Absolutely. And make I make most important numbers on just rely on what's in your phone. Put important numbers down on paper. You can have like a notebook, with all of your information, like an emergency preparedness notebook with that in there, or a separate notebook just for work contacts, things like that, or business contacts. Plan ahead.
It's amazing how much stuff people just have on their cell phones. I used to have a day runner. I don't know if people still use those, but my entire world was in that day runner. Every phone number of everybody important. And if they weren't in my day runner, they did not exist. And I couldn't exist without my day runner. So basically having everything on a phone is just, and not having any paper backup is just asking for a major disaster to befall you.
So you may think you're saving yourself money by not having your own cell phone plan outside of your work phone. And having two phones does come in handy, especially if one battery goes bad or one's on a different service than the other, and one can get connected in an area and one can't, or if you just got some sort of emergency or whatnot. But the extra expense of having your own personal phone means that your work can track what you do on your work phone. They may not necessarily be spying on you, but if they want to download your text messages or your emails or find out who you've been calling, they can get a report on that. So if you're looking for a job and you're using your work phone as your contact phone, that's really not cool. So it's just another reason why it might be practical to have your own separate personal phone. It's just the added expense is a lot for some people when they get offered a free phone.
So I've got an idea here that I'm hoping that Oily can expand on once I get done. So the other thing to kind of keep in mind too, right? If you're preparing for the potential of a job loss or change, sit down now and consider all the things that you do at your current job. If there's opportunities that you can be a consultant, if there's opportunities where you can easily be very mobile with your skill set and look at other places to go, get those things.
Look at your vendors. Vendors.
Yeah.
That if you work for a major corporation, be nice to your vendors, and because a lot of times they'll hire you just because of all the people that you have. Just because you're leaving the company and get fired doesn't mean you're going to lose all your friends at that company, and maybe somebody else at that company.
Most of my jobs have come up like when I was just completely sick of the job I was in and I needed something else or whatever. It always seems like about that time it's like God just sent somebody in to help me get out of that position, get out of that place, and into where time, and so that's where most of coming from is acquaintances that you make at your current job. You can end up getting another job. Now, of course, that's also going to depend on the area where you live, but it does help who you know, not just what you know. So that does help. And
Yeah,
also,
you may.
So one of the things that I've done already is I've set up actually 3 LLCs in another state that don't really do a whole lot. They're just there in case something happens with what I'm doing currently. And at any point in time, I could pick which one I feel like doing and turn it on. But you have to get like the business licenses and everything like that. Have all that stuff taken care of before you need it, and then that way there you just roll right into it, and you have the opportunity to reach out to those contacts that we've been talking about and saying, hey, I'm doing some things on my own right now. Do you have anything that I can do? And always just take whatever they give you to get started. It'll get some money coming into you quickly, and it'll get your name out there as well until somebody says, well, hey, I really want you on my team, and they could go back. They're just seeds that are planted there.
right. And
That's just online businesses too. And that's where I was hoping you would take us, because I think, don't you do eBay, selling on eBay and the essential oils?
I don't sell essential oils anymore, and I never sold them that way. I just helped people get their own account so that they could get the oils at wholesale prices. But because I teach people about essential oils, and I want to be as plain as I can be, and as upfront as I can be, and not have to talk around an issue without getting in trouble, I don't sign people up anymore, because they don't want you saying peppermint helps your headache. They want you saying to ease uncomfortableness in the head, something to that effect. They want you to talk around it and not, because they see it as making promises. And of course, not every oil is going to work for everybody for the same issues and things like that, because our bodies are different. Hey, Coach Joe, welcome. Nice, mister. I missed you. Glad you're here. But yeah, you can stuff like that too, though. Selling stuff on eBay, looking at some different skills that you have that maybe you don't utilize on. Even if you're great at writing resumes, there's people that will pay you to write a freaking good resume for them and help them out. So that's something you can do. There's so many different things that you can do, but just look at side jobs. Just like my husband, he's great at welding. So what does he do? People's farm equipment that's around here, because he's a mechanic. He welds, he builds flatbeds from scratch. He mounts feed cake boxes on the back of feed trucks for people, fixes their trailers, things like that. He does whatever he needs to do to bring in the extra money that we need. So utilize the skills that you have that maybe they're long forgotten, or that a lot of times you don't see where you have monetary value in some of those skills that you have. You can take something that was a hobby and use it as a career if you need to. So,
and don't overlook antique malls where you can redo something, you can turn it into a mosaic, and they'll take them on a consignment, and it's like a big thrift store. But Tree was saying the same thing, and Rain. I call them side hustles. I used to answer the phone at home as a infomercial telephone answer person, could answer when I wanted. I do mosaics. I put things in consignment shops, and there are all kind of ways, making YouTube videos that are monetized, that you have small amounts of money rolling in.
Very small in the case of YouTube.
And you can save that money, right? And that is your side money, or your cash money, or the thing that helps you buy it.
Money. You're not really having to do anything really to get that money. I mean, it's something if you were going to do anyways, or you're just trying to clean out stuff. So instead of, you can donate that. So most of the time I don't donate my stuff, but if I was looking at needing money, I would sell it. I would post it on buy, sell, trade sites that are over on Facebook, or have a garage sale or fix something up, like Mouse said, reinvent something that you already have, make it into something else. And, you know, like we've taken plow diffs and welded a pipe on it and painted it and made a bar stool out of it.
Yeah, you know, there were some girls by the pool the other day or in the hot tub, and they were talking about how much money they were making selling their old clothes that they didn't want anymore. They just put an ad on the internet wearing them, and this is for sale, and that they would get offers, and they'd meet people and in the local area and who liked that particular style, and bang, they were making money just selling old clothes.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah. I see people selling stuff constantly. I have a family member, my nephew, his wife sells stuff all the time because their son has health issues. It's her son from a previous relationship, but Jeremy's daddy to him as well. So they sell stuff all the time to take care of medical expenses, you know, clothes that he's grown out of. They took good care of his clothes when he's grown out of them. Makes a little extra money. Toys that he grows out of, she sells them, makes a little extra money to help pay for medical. You know, so just living within your means and doing little things like that and putting that money back, that quote mailbox money, are all things that can help. And, you know, another tip is you can pay extra on some of your bills, like your utilities. You can put another $10 on that per month or whatever and kind of build up like a little here to kind of help. Mother-in-law used to do that when she lived in the place that's here, and I need to start doing that. Hey, the Jack. So yeah, we would go ahead and or she would go ahead and pay like another $10, $15 extra per month on her utilities, and that adds up. And, you know, if anything happened or there was a lean month or whatever, she had a buffer in there. So she normally had a credit on her utility bills because of that. So she would get a couple of months, 2 to 3 months worth of credit on like her electric for out here, which really helps out. Hey, Jack. Jack of all trades, Jack.
Yes.
Be diverse too. Don't be afraid to do things that might feel below you. Just do them, and you'll be surprised how quick those few extra dollars add up. And I think that's a trap that a lot of people fall into, is that they get used to a way of life or a quality of life, if you will, and then when they fall on hard times, I think somebody said it earlier, I can't get the lattes, I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, too bad. You're into kind of a survival mode at that point, and you need to really start to look at, you know, my dad told me something when I was a kid. He said, do everything that nobody else wants to do and you'll make a lot of money. And I cleaned up in the wintertime. I shoveled driveways, raked leaves, did all the stuff that I really didn't like to do, but I always had money. So it's out there. And whenever you see a kid dragging a shovel down the street and he asks if he can shovel your sidewalk, I'd give him the money to do it, just because you don't see that too much anymore. And you want to kind of reward that kind of go get them attitude.
Yeah, they're willing to work for that, you know, and you don't see that very often anymore.
Right.
A long time ago, I was walking down the highway in North Carolina with one of those lawn and leaf bags, and I'm picking up beer cans that had been run over and tossed out of cars and whatnot, beer cans, pop cans, and I'm trying to fill up this bag. I'm trying to make money, taking it to the recycling center to make ends meet, because living on military pay just wasn't doing it. And this guy pulls up in a truck, and he says, "Hey, you want a job?" I said, "What's this about?" He goes, "Could you use some extra work?" I said, "Yeah, sure." He goes, "Put that in the back, jump in." I didn't know this guy. I didn't know what was going on. Well, I put the bag in the back. I jumped in. He turned around, pulls in. It's this gun store with its own shooting range. And he says, "My boss is in there. He wants to see you." And I go walking in. I'd never been in this place. I had no idea. It was kind of off the highway, and the trees were kind of blocking it. I go in there, and here's this guy, and he says, "That was you out there picking up them beer cans on the freeway?" I said, "Yeah, it was me." He goes, "Why were you doing that?" I said, "I need the extra money." He goes, "I don't see people do that anymore these days." He goes, "You must be a hard worker." I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He says, "How would you like to work for me?" Next thing you know, I'm the groundskeeper at the rifle range. I'm fixing up his gun store, and he also ran a security agency out of there. And one of my Marine buddies needed a part-time night job. I got him a job as a security guard. It all just worked out, all because I was just trying to collect some aluminum cans just to get a few dollars to get by. You never know what'll happen. You never know.
Absolutely don't. And also, my last tip really is to learn new skills that can save you money, like some of your simple plumbing things that's going on in your house, or carpentry, doing some simple things by yourself, mowing your own lawn if you are able to. But yeah, mowing your own lawn, that's that's what. Those are all things that you can do to put back that money. Figure out how much money it would be that you would be paying somebody to do that, and put that money up in an envelope. And this is some things that we're going to start doing. We don't really have anybody come mow our lawn or do anything like that, but just putting money back for things that maybe I don't necessarily need, or extra stuff that we would have spent it on. We don't really spend a lot on stuff like that anyways, but
oh, sorry. I do that, sorry.
That's okay. There's a delay a little bit here. Go ahead.
I will say this about cutting back. Cutting back does save you money, and cutting back will help you until you can get on your feet and that sort of thing. But don't cut back on every single thing and just close yourself up in a hole and don't do anything. Now, if you're that destitute, I mean, you're about ready to live in your car destitute, then yes, I guess so. But maybe every now and then you stop and get a coffee. Maybe it's not the $5 Starbucks coffee, but maybe it's a McDonald's coffee. Or maybe every now and then you get out that extra box of shells that you were buying before when you had extra money, and you'd pick up an extra box of shells here, and you go out to the range and you do some target practice and have a little fun. Or maybe every now and then you go get a couple beers. Maybe you're buying the $1 Natty Lights instead of getting the fancy stout amber Bach blah blah IPA. But every now and then you got to do something to kind of reward yourself, even if it's in small ways. Otherwise, you'll go stir crazy.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, you want to have some quality of life, but you can do that on less money. You don't have to go all out on everything that you do. It's about a lot of the stuff, and you can go extreme on anything. I will recommend one book. It's called America's Cheapest Family. Now, they go to extremes on some of their stuff, I will say, but it's the Economides family, and their book is called oh my gosh, of course it just flew out of my brain. But their book is pretty good on saving money. They're on YouTube, and it's America's Cheapest Family is what they're called, and they have a book out. The Economides family has a book out, and I think it might be called America's Cheapest Family. I can't remember for sure, but anyways, they have a bunch of videos on YouTube, so you don't even necessarily have to buy their book, although their book has a bunch more stuff in it. Hey, Oklahoma.
Did you read what TR Prepper said? Strippers are expensive. You have to save money for that.
TR, you snuck in. I didn't see you turkey.
Okay, real quick, I wanted to say something, and I don't.
Oklahoma.
Yes, I'm here. I got finished eating and cooking,
Okay.
but so I wanted to say something, and I don't usually put my business out there, my personal life, because obvious reasons, but everybody in here knows what the deal is with my back. I have several ruptured discs. I have all kinds of problems. I cannot work. I finally got talked into the other day to file for disability, and I'm looking at about 10 years before I even get it. And that's even if I go through with the filing. I survive alone. I own my own house. I have no mortgage. I have no rent. I have not, the house is in my name. There's no bills other than utility bills and stuff. I survive in my own house for less than 100% under $300 a month. It is just me. It is just me here by myself. My utility bills usually are around average around $80 a month. My cell phone and then my internet bill is another $90 a month. And then I have my groceries, which I usually spend about $200 a month on that. So for me, it is nothing for me to save because, like I said, I survive and survive really well
Hmm.
alone at my house for $300 a month. Um, my sister, um, I love her so much. I'm so proud of her because she has created a business and has made that business up to an amazing, um, an amazing, just an amazing company. Um, she, we grew up in this house together. You know, of course, me and all my sisters and my parents. This is the house that we grew up in. She makes, um, let's see, 5 figures a month. I'm not going to go into detail, but she makes 5 figures a month. No, wait, it's a week. 5 figures a week. I'm sorry. Very close to what HVS was saying earlier. She makes about 5 figures a week. She has 3 trucks, 3 Dodge trucks. 2 of them are work trucks, and one of them is actually a backup work truck.
Is your sister married, and does she want to move to Hawaii? I'm serious. You should get yourself a working girlfriend with a job. I mean,
right.
That's my advice to you.
Well, she owns the company, and her boyfriend actually runs it or does the work. I'm not, anyways, but they make 5 figures a week, and they have 3 Dodge trucks, a brand new Jeep, brand new. They have a brand new solitaire home, a manufactured home, a $90,000 home, and they are just absolutely living it up. And I'm proud of them. I'm not talking bad about that at all. And I've set her down a couple of times and told her, listen, the job is dangerous. Being on the road, he gets up at about 4 o'clock in the morning, and he drives to wherever he's going to go set a house. He sets a house, and if he's far enough away, he'll have to stay in a hotel. If he's about 3 hours away, 2 or 3 hours away, then they'll drive back home that night. I've talked to him several times. I've told her, I said, listen, you have to expect the worst. Being on the road that often increases your chances significantly about being in a vehicle accident, vehicle fatality, really. And then if they survive it, which they did last year have a bad wreck on their way back home from a job, they totaled their trailer. Their trailer was destroyed. The truck was destroyed, and I have a picture of it. I'm pretty sure you've seen it, Oily, on my personal Facebook. The truck is destroyed. Luckily, and one of them was actually ejected out of the vehicle. None of them had any severe damage at all. In
Wow.
fact, they were all released from the hospital that day. I keep telling her, one of these days, it's not going to be that lucky. And she's stuck with 4 brand new vehicles, a brand new house, and no way of paying it all. And she's got the insurance on all the trucks, full coverage on all the 2 brand new trucks, and the Jeep as full coverage, and she may still have full coverage on the personal truck.
Thank God that they're okay.
That's a lot of.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're fine. In fact, they went back to work. They went that next day, bought another truck and trailer, and we're back at work 3 days later. So, you all have to keep in mind that because we're raking in the money doesn't mean you have to just blow it all as fast as you can spend it.
The temptation is there.
Temptation
Wasn't it
is
John
there.
Lennon that said, the best things in life are free, but you can keep them for the birds and the bees. I want money.
We all grew up with very little. We had everything that we needed. We ate good every day and every night, and we had clothes on our back. We didn't have, I didn't have the latest game system that was out. I didn't have, a lot of stuff. We didn't need it, but we had everything that we needed to survive and live by. Now I can understand, she's got the money. She wants everything she never had. She wants to give her son everything that we never had growing up. And I understand that. And you know what? That's nature. I would do the same thing. But the fact of the matter is one of these days, that money is not going to be coming in. You're not going to be getting your $10,000 or $15,000 a week.
I can testify to that, man.
Like you have been. Exactly. So
you've been in that situation, haven't you? Sudden heart attack, and there you are.
Well, yeah, but that didn't have anything to do with the $15,000 check stop coming.
Oh,
it was a whole different thing.
But what I'm saying is you can live. You can do great. You can have yourself a great business and be making $10,000 or $15,000 a week, but every dime doesn't have to go to brand new vehicles, brand new house, brand new this, that, and the other. So
exactly,
save it.
You got to be smart with the money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you should when you go through your life, you should take a taste of something good every once in a while, but you don't have to just go full hog 24/7 either.
Exactly. Just because you make $15,000 a month doesn't mean you need to spend $15,000 a month.
Exactly. I went all out today. Her boyfriend's birthday is tomorrow, so I went over there and I made a bunch of I made some food. I went out and that's what I call going all out. I don't necessarily like to go out to eat. I'd rather have home cooked. I love to cook. I cook a lot of good Mexican food, if I may say so myself. But that's what I did. I went out and made a bunch of tortillas tonight, and made some carne guisada, some Mexican food, and just had dinner. And it still didn't cost $10 to make it. The flour's what, $2 or $3 for a pack. Some pork chops, some seasonings, and you just completely.
Mouse is gonna burst.
She's not laughing here in Oklahoma. Comments on the side. Say hi to Great Mama for me. We have some people like that around here too. Is what's really sad.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, we got to close this down, but I'm going to give you a few things. First of all, if you suddenly lose your job, don't panic. Breathe. It's going to be okay. Treat finding a new job as if it were your job. Like, work as many hours as you would at your old job to finding a new job. So if you work 8 hours at your old job, invest in that time to go find another job if you need to. Consider a temporary job until your permanent job comes along. Consider homemade or price limit on gifts, like if you celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas, things like that. Consider homemade gifts or a price limit on those gifts. So those are my tips.
If you need to sell something to raise some funds, sell it. But what you can't do is don't throw in the towel.
Absolutely not. And it's going to be all right. Have faith. It's going to be okay. We've all been through crazy rough times in our life, and it ended up okay, hadn't it? So we're all still here, and we're okay. May have some nicks and dings from those things, but we're all okay. So just understand that. Now we've got the hashtag for the week. Hashtag Aunt Mama.
Well, and hashtag funeral dating from week
Yeah,
to
no kidding.
Oh goodness.
Wow.
Did you ever pick anybody up at a funeral and take them out on a date after?
You know, you go up to them and you're like, "You here with anybody?"
Yeah, and then,
You
and
don't
then
have to use that ridiculous line.
yeah, and then he said,
I was at a funeral once, and this girl came up to me, and just the way she looked at me, I gave her a paper napkin. She wrote her phone number down on it.
Oh,
Oh
Jesus.
my goodness.
Was
Funeral
it-
crasher.
was it too soon? Sorry.
No, here we are. Say my husband was at my funeral, and he sees a good-looking girl there. He's like, "Hey, if you haven't heard yet, I'm single."
Oh,
Come here often, BC.
Come here often. There you go. Well, any last thoughts on our subject for tonight before we head off of here and contemplate the hashtag funeral date? Hashtag
Aunt Mama. Aunt Mama.
I've got one thing.
Okay.
Willie, you said I think number 2 was spend as much time as you did working, looking for work. You know, turn that 8 hours a day at work into 8 hours a day looking for work.
Exactly.
That can get expensive. Where I'm from, we live in a very rural town of 800 people. In order for us to go, we have to drive about 30 or 40 miles out of town to get a job. So that can get expensive as well.
But what you can do, you may not be able to do it every day, but when you do go, don't just go and turn in one application. Go to as many businesses as you can get done in that day. You know, if you can't go but twice that week because of a situation like that, we're kind of in the same situation. You can put in applications online. You can hit as many businesses as you can while you're over in that area. Things like that.
Spending the time looking for work isn't just about finding work. It's also about keeping yourself from going stir crazy. Like Oily said, you will get through this. This could end up turning out to be something better. You just don't see it yet. This could be an opportunity for a job you never thought you'd ever do and really enjoy. You just never know what will happen. Or maybe you do go through some hardship for a few years and then you get new perspective. So it just, anything could happen. And she's done. Put a fork in her, she's done.
3, 2, 1.
He did the hippopotamus sound, whatever that was.
We're off the rails. We're off the rails.
Okay.
Gear caused that. Gear grinding did that. Read the
So I got a new knife today. I bought another knife that I got from the 300, the movie, kind of this one. I just couldn't resist. It was cheap. It was on sale. $20.
Message retracted.
I know. He retracted his own message. Now I can't see it.
Who did? Gear, he said his last date, his funeral date, was kind of stiff.
Oh, that's messed up.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear, that's just wrong. That's wrong.
And it came out of nowhere. I'm just reading normal things, and I can't see when I'm crying, laughing to smush the mute button. So
Hashtag if date.
Oh dear God.
Wow.
Okay, we got to wrap this up, guys.
Okay.
thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Finger Lakes Prepper, for being our guest tonight. You're always welcome.
Oh, thank you.
What's the word for isn't there a word for having sex with dead people?
Necrophilia.
Necrophilia.
Yeah, let's not go there. Yeah.
It's a crime. There's no money in crime. We're trying to save money.
Wrong.
But listen, somebody dies every day, so a way to live free would be to have a lot of wakes, have a lot of Kleenex, right? Go around. Free food.
Oh my word.
We're terrible. We are terrible people.
Yes. Yes, you are, people.
It's not a news flash.
That's just going to get me to snorting. Okay, well, thank you all for coming. Thank you to all my panelists. I appreciate you. And Finger Lakes, just let me know when you want on. I'm going to close this. Good night, everyone.